Hey guys, I'm McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and in today's video we are going to discuss pricing your home to sell. Now, I'm coming into this with the assumption that you, as a potential seller, want to be one whose house sells rather than one whose house sits on the market. So we're going to discuss ways to price your home to accomplish that goal, getting your home sold. Now, in this video we're going to look at a few different things. We're going to look at the market, we're going to look at your home's value range, and we're going to look at 3 different pricing strategies. Now, let's talk about the market. How is the market? What kind of market are we in? So we're going to be looking and thinking about, okay, is it a seller's market? Now, a seller's market is a market where the inventory is low, demand is high, and there's a lot of competition for each house. In a market like that, there is a lot of opportunity for error in pricing, and that's okay. It's okay to make a mistake on the price because the competition and the frenzy of the market is going to erase those potential mistakes. In a buyer's market, you have a market where there is high inventory or low demand, and homes tend to take longer to sell. And the competition isn't with the buyers necessarily, it's actually the competition is for the buyers. So you're competing with all these other houses for the buyers. Now, you're always competing in a sense for those buyers, but in a buyer's market, you're literally competing for the 3 buyers and there's 10 houses rather than having 10 buyers for 3 houses. Does that make sense? And then in a balanced market, which is going to be one where there's a better balance, essentially, of inventory and buyers in the market, it's important to price your house correctly, but you're going to kind of have a balance between competition among other listings and competition for buyers. And then this is the ideal market in general to have. It's a more sustainable market, and it's a market that is what we find ourselves in more often. In Seattle, we had a pretty substantial and heavily seller-dominated market the last few years, and we've entered into a more balanced market. Eventually, we're going to be in a buyer's market again, and there's always a back and forth in any real estate market. There's going to be cycles in times where you're in a buyer's market or a seller's market. So we need to consider, okay, what kind of market are we in? What are homes selling for? How quickly are they selling? How many new listings are coming on? Things like that. How's the market? And then we're going to talk about your home's value range. So once we decide, okay, this is how the market is, these are the current conditions, now what's your home worth? And the value range is the best way to decipher or to describe value, because your house is ultimately worth what someone's willing to pay. It doesn't matter, an appraiser might come and they would say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, your house is worth X. But what they're doing is they're picking a number in that value range, and they're just coming up with an arbitrary number. And so when we look at pricing, we're going to be looking at comparable sales, or homes that are for sale currently. That's going to be our best gauge of kind of that range of what your home's value is. So the biggest factor in pricing is going to be, you've got the market, but then, okay, what are homes selling for, comparable homes selling for in your area? And we're going to look at what is currently for sale. So what homes are on the market that are similar to yours? What features and benefits do they offer? How many bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, things like that. And then we're going to look at homes that have sold recently in your area that have similar features, benefits, size to your house. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take those 2 items and we're going to compare them to your house, because that's what buyers do. Buyers shop by comparison. And we will take all that information and we will come up with a value range for your house. So what that means is your house is worth somewhere between X and point Y. Now, as we're having this conversation, it's important to note that the price for your house can fall anywhere in that value range. And it can actually fall inside or outside of that value range. So let's transition now to, I think, the most important part of this whole conversation is, what is the pricing strategy we're going to employ? And that's going to be an opportunity for us to look at 3 different pricing strategies. Now, I'm going to show a pyramid here up on the screen, and this is taken from the National Association of Realtors, and their pyramid here is demonstrating a few different, it's essentially demonstrating your pricing strategy, so whether you price it at the market, above the market, or below the market, and then also the visibility that you get at those different price points. And then the visibility is essentially how many buyers are looking for a property in this price range, right? And at this pricing of the house. So let's look at the different pricing strategies. So we've got pricing above the market. Now, if we price above the market, we might potentially get you the highest price that's ever been sold in your neighborhood. And in order to do that, we'd have to find the perfect buyer. And every once in a while, you have those situations where it just kind of works out. Now, people were getting away with this in Seattle for quite a while, where they're pushing the envelope on the price, and people were eventually paying it. That was one of the strategies that was working out for sellers. And like I was saying, there's a lot of grace in the seller's market for how you price, because there's so many buyers in the market. The cons to this strategy, though, of pricing above the market is you're going to have agents that might not show the house because they think it's overpriced and they don't want to take their clients by it. They're going to at least learn to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think that the house is overpriced. And their client's going to appreciate that. And their client is most likely, if they find it online, going to have that same feeling. Man, this house looks just like these other three that we've been seeing, but it's priced so much higher. So they might just skip that house altogether. The other negative is you've got online home searches, and people will set their criteria. And if your house maybe is perfect for that particular buyer, but you're pushing the price and you're hoping, well, maybe they'll at least negotiate with us and come down a little bit, you might miss that buyer because you've stretched on the price. Now, let's move and transition to pricing it at the market value, and we'll show that here on this graph again. This is going to be your kind of sweet spot of amount of buyers in that pool, and also the best price. So you're going to have that sweet spot of price and a potential take home for you as the seller. Now, the benefits here are agents are going to see this house is fairly priced. Buyers will also see this house and go, oh yeah, it kind of fits in line with some of these other homes that we've been seeing and other homes that we're comparing your house with. It's also going to be a good price for your house, a fair price for your house. The con, and I don't see a lot of cons in this particular strategy, right? Pricing it at the market value. But the potential con might be you miss out on that one buyer that was willing to pay a little bit more, but you had a lower price and they just paid that price. That is a potential con, a potential negative for pricing at the market value, but I think the other benefits outweigh that potential con. Now, the third pricing strategy is to price your house below the market value. And in this strategy, you are essentially saying, hey, come take a look at my house. My house is priced below what it's supposed to be priced, and you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. Now, this strategy is going to potentially get a lot of buyers coming and taking a look at it, because the buyers know they've seen, especially now, they're getting updates from Zillow, Redfin, whatever real estate websites they're looking at. They're getting those, hey, this just came on, 123 Main Street just came on the market. And then they're seeing these other listings, they're going, whoa, this one is priced really cheap. And as an agent who's on some of these websites, sometimes people contact me through Zillow or whatever other site, and they'll say, hey, I want to go take a look at this house. Why is it, or they'll say, why is it so cheap? And those are usually, well, I got to jump on this opportunity. I don't want to miss out. So there's this frenzy that gets created, kind of like an auction. If you've ever been to an auction, you've got items that are priced way below what they're supposed to be priced. But the idea is that over time, with competition and people there, you're going to get that price bid up and most likely end up with a higher price than you would have gotten if you just charged a fair market price for the item. With a house, that does happen as well. And in a seller's market, you have a lot more opportunity for that. And there's a lot of opportunity to potentially drive that price up. And we saw that a lot in Seattle, and in other competitive markets, you'll see people price on the lower side of the market value or even below the market value, get a lot of attention, and now you've got 15 offers on a house, 20 offers on a house, And that price usually ends up going into that above the market value that nobody would have paid if you listed it at that price, but they're willing to pay it because they get caught up in that frenzy. And maybe there's one person too that just really wants that house and they're willing to go above what the other competition is. Now, in a balanced market or in a buyer's market, that's not always the best strategy, because the big negative here is if you do price your house below the market value and you're advertising and promoting it at that price, you don't get a lot of attention, or maybe you just don't get a lot of offers. Now you have one buyer that's coming in, they're saying, I'll pay the asking price. And for you, that's leaving money on the table as a seller. So the big idea here for you is you have to decide what your, first of all, goals are in this process, and then with your goals, reverse engineer, okay, what's our pricing strategy? And most people's goal is going to be to get the most amount of money and sell in the shortest amount of time. Some combination of those two. Some people need to sell a little quicker. Sometimes people need to sell in 30 days. And if you have that short of a timeline, you might need to take the price below the market value strategy, and maybe you lose a little bit on the net profit that you'd get from the sale, but you get your home sold quickly like you need to. Other people might be in a situation where they're okay waiting a little bit and they're not really in a hurry. And maybe, if somebody doesn't want to pay this price, I'm not going to sell. That's an opportunity. Maybe you price it above the market. But most people have a realistic combination of, I want to walk away, this is how much I want to net, or this is what, I'd like to net the most I can, and then also get, your house sold in a reasonable time frame. Now, a couple things to note in conclusion to this. First of all, nobody cares how much you paid for your house. They don't care. If you paid, let's say you paid $600,000 for your house, and now the market has changed and the house is only worth $500,000, nobody is going to pay $600,000 just because you paid $600,000. So the market doesn't care, other people don't care. I know you care, so I empathize with that. If you're in a situation where you paid more than what the house is now worth, that's a tough situation. But as far as pricing your house, the market doesn't care, and neither do the buyers. Buyers also don't care how much money you put into the house. So if you put a lot of money into a kitchen remodel or a bathroom remodel, or you spent a lot of money on a fancy new furnace with a heat pump, good for you. Good for you. Those are great. If you're going to enjoy those in your house, that's awesome, and I'm glad that you enjoyed them and were able to enjoy them. But when it comes to pricing your house, buyers don't care how much money you spent. And I see this where people will even show me the receipts. Well, Zach, okay, so we bought the house for this, and then we spent an additional $200,000 on remodels, and so we need to get at least this much out of it so we can at least break even or make a little money. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. There's a lot of things you can do and a lot of remodel projects you can do on your house that will actually be negative ROI. They're great for enjoyment, but they're actually not going to get you back as much money in resale value as they're going to get you as much as the cost is going to be. So please be discerning about what you actually put your money into. And then if you do put your money into luxury remodel projects, just know that you're not going to get all that money back, and have that as an expectation. Buyers are going to compare your house with other houses, and you don't want to, this is my third kind of side note, you don't want to be priced as such where your house is being compared with houses that are just clearly outclassing your house. Because if that's the case, you're not going to get your house sold. So what we want to do is we want to price your house as such that we're in that market value range, ideally, and you're competing with and being compared with other houses that are like your house. And this is going to give you the best chance to get your home sold. So in recap, okay, we're looking at the market. How's the market? We're looking at your house's value range, and that's going to be determined by comparable sales and other homes that are like yours that are on the market currently. And then we're going to be looking at the best pricing strategy for you. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. I know that it is valuable content for you. So if you're thinking about selling your house and making a move, I'd love to be a resource for you. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can find my contact information either here if you're watching it on YouTube or elsewhere. My contact info will be readily available, and I'd love to be a resource for you. Bye for now.